Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a fascinating and often misunderstood aspect of human relationships, especially in romantic dynamics. It's said that when you ignore her, that's when she wants you the most. Why is that? At first glance, it might seem counterintuitive or even cruel. Why would anyone want to pull away when someone they care about is distant? But the truth lies deeper in our emotional wiring and the nature of desire and attention. Human nature is deeply complex, but one fundamental truth remains consistent across cultures and generations. We are naturally drawn to challenge and mystery. This attraction is rooted in our psychology and biology, shaping how we form connections and what keeps us engaged in relationships or pursuits. Challenge and mystery introduce an element of the unknown, an invitation to explore, discover, and ultimately feel alive. Without these elements, life and relationships can quickly become mundane and predictable, leading to boredom and disengagement. At the core, challenge stimulates our brains. The human brain is wired to seek rewards and solve problems. When something is too easy or too familiar, our brain's reward system becomes less activated. We thrive on novelty and the excitement that comes with uncertainty. Mystery provides this novelty. It acts like a puzzle that invites our curiosity. When someone or something is mysterious, it triggers a natural urge to investigate, to uncover hidden layers, and to understand what lies beneath the surface. This urge taps into our intrinsic motivation to seek out new information and experiences. In the context of human relationships, this means that people are often more attracted to those who don't immediately reveal everything about themselves or who do not always respond predictably. When a person is constantly available and completely transparent from the beginning, the element of surprise or discovery is diminished. The relationship can feel safe, but also static. On the other hand, when a person maintains some mystery by having their own interests, boundaries, or even by not always responding immediately, it can spark intrigue and desire. The other person feels compelled to invest effort and attention, which can deepen emotional connection and attraction. Challenge also plays a crucial role in this dynamic. When a relationship requires some effort to maintain, or when a person is not easily won over, it creates a sense of value and achievement. Humans often desire what is perceived as valuable or rare. If everything comes too easily, it may lose its perceived worth. The challenge introduces a dynamic of pursuit and reward, where the chase itself becomes a source of excitement and engagement. This is why the initial stages of many romantic relationships are so thrilling. The uncertainty and effort involved fuel passion. Moreover, challenge and mystery contribute to a sense of individuality and autonomy. People want to feel respected and valued for who they are, not just for being available on demand. Maintaining some distance or boundaries, therefore, can enhance one's sense of self-worth. It shows that a person has their own life and standards, which in turn makes them more attractive. This independence, combined with the allure of mystery, can make a person seem more intriguing and desirable because they are not easily accessible or fully predictable. From a psychological perspective, the dopamine system in the brain is heavily involved in how we respond to challenge and mystery. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward. It spikes when we anticipate a positive outcome or when we solve a problem. This neurological response explains why the pursuit of something uncertain or challenging often feels exciting and rewarding. The anticipation and the process of uncovering the unknown can be more thrilling than the actual attainment. This is why mystery and challenge are so compelling. They keep us emotionally and mentally engaged. Additionally, challenge and mystery can foster growth and deeper connections. When someone challenges us, whether emotionally, intellectually, or socially, it encourages us to grow and expand our perspectives. It pushes us out of our comfort zones. Similarly, mystery invites ongoing discovery, meaning the relationship doesn't become stagnant. The person with some mystery about them continues to reveal new dimensions over time, which keeps the connection dynamic and evolving. It's important to note that too much mystery or challenge, however, can be counterproductive. If someone is completely closed off or constantly unavailable, it can lead to frustration and feelings of neglect. The key is balance. Enough mystery and challenge to keep interest and excitement alive, but also enough openness and availability to build trust and security. In essence, the value placed on challenge and mystery is deeply embedded in human nature because these elements activate our curiosity, reward systems, and need for meaningful engagement. They prevent relationships and experiences from becoming dull and predictable. By embracing the natural attraction to challenge and mystery, people can create connections that are not only exciting, but also more fulfilling and resilient over time. Attention and desire share a deep and intrinsic connection that profoundly influences human behavior and relationships. At its core, Desire often stems from the way we allocate our attention. When we pay attention to something or someone, we signal to our brain and emotions that this object of focus is important, worthy of interest, and potentially rewarding. In this way, attention acts as the gateway to desire. It nurtures and amplifies it. From a psychological standpoint, attention functions as the mind's spotlight, highlighting what matters most in a given moment. When attention is focused on a person, their traits, behaviors, or presence become more salient and impactful. The more we attend to someone, the more opportunities we have to appreciate their qualities, understand their nuances, and develop emotional connections. This growing awareness naturally feeds desire, because desire is not just about physical attraction, it's also about emotional engagement and psychological investment. Desire itself is a complex state involving anticipation, longing, and a motivation to seek closeness or fulfillment. Without attention, desire cannot sustain itself because desire requires the constant input of new information and experiences to keep its flame alive. If we ignore or overlook someone, we reduce the mental and emotional energy dedicated to them, which can lead to a diminishing of desire over time. On the other hand, consistent and focused attention creates a fertile environment for desire to flourish. In romantic relationships, this connection between attention and desire is especially evident. When partners actively pay attention to each other, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, it fosters intimacy and attraction. Small acts of noticing, remembering details, and responding to each other's needs can significantly enhance desire. Conversely, neglect or inattentiveness often causes desire to wane because the person feels unseen, unvalued, or unimportant. Desire thrives on feeling desired and recognized in return, so attention functions as a form of validation and connection. Furthermore, attention operates in both conscious and unconscious ways. Sometimes, desire grows subtly through repeated exposure and unconscious noticing. For example, seeing someone frequently, even casually, can spark feelings of attraction because the brain begins to associate them with familiarity and positive experiences. This is often called the mere exposure effect. However, conscious attention, actively focusing on and appreciating a person's qualities, can deepen and strengthen desire beyond initial attraction. Neuroscience also supports the link between attention and desire. When we focus on something appealing, our brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a critical role in reward and motivation. Dopamine not only makes us feel good, but also encourages us to seek out the source of pleasure or reward repeatedly. In the context of desire, attention triggers dopamine release, which in turn reinforces the desire to continue engaging with the person or object of our attention. This feedback loop sustains and heightens desire over time. It's important to recognize that not all attention increases desire equally. The quality of attention matters as much as the quantity. Genuine, respectful, and thoughtful attention fosters positive feelings and attraction, while forced or superficial attention can feel intrusive or disingenuous, potentially reducing desire. Similarly, attention focused on negative aspects or constant criticism tends to diminish desire. Therefore, the nature and intention behind the attention are crucial in shaping how desire develops. Attention and desire are also dynamic and influence each other reciprocally. As desire grows, it naturally demands more attention. People tend to focus more on those they desire, noticing their every gesture, word, or expression. This heightened attention can then intensify desire further, creating a cyclical pattern that deepens emotional bonds. This cycle explains why new relationships or passions often feel so consuming and all-encompassing. However, maintaining desire over the long term requires deliberate effort to sustain meaningful attention. In everyday life, distractions, stress, and routines can cause attention to wane, which risks dulling desire. Couples who make a conscious effort to regularly pay attention to each other's feelings, needs, and experiences often find that their desire remains vibrant and alive. It is through this ongoing investment of attention that desire can be nurtured, rekindled, and grown. In essence, attention is the foundation upon which desire is built. Without attention, desire lacks the fuel it needs to ignite and persist. By understanding and valuing this connection, individuals can cultivate deeper, more fulfilling relationships, ensuring that desire remains an active and rewarding part of their emotional lives. Ignoring someone often carries a negative connotation. Many people immediately associate ignoring with rudeness, neglect, or outright disrespect. However, ignoring someone does not inherently mean that you are being disrespectful. In fact, there are many situations where ignoring is a healthy, necessary, and respectful action both for oneself and for others. The key is understanding the intention and context behind ignoring, which differentiates it from disrespect. Firstly, ignoring can be a form of setting boundaries. In relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, it is important for individuals to maintain their personal limits and protect their emotional well-being. Sometimes this means stepping back and not responding immediately or not engaging in certain conversations. When someone ignores a message or gives space after conflict or stress, it is often not a sign of disrespect, but rather a conscious choice to create distance for reflection, self-care, or to avoid escalating tension. Setting such boundaries is actually a sign of respect for oneself and the relationship because it prevents harm and preserves dignity. Ignoring can also mean prioritizing one's own mental and emotional health. People encounter moments when they feel overwhelmed, anxious, or mentally exhausted. During such times, responding to every demand or call for attention is simply impossible without sacrificing one's own well-being. Choosing to ignore temporarily does not signify disrespect toward the other person, but is a way to honor one's limits. It allows space to recharge and respond more thoughtfully later, which ultimately benefits the relationship by preventing burnout and resentment. Another reason ignoring does not equal disrespect is that it can be a form of non-verbal communication that respects the complexity of human emotions. Sometimes silence or distance communicates more than words could. For example, when someone is hurt or upset, they might ignore contact as a way of processing feelings. This form of ignoring is not about devaluing the other person, but about managing emotions and preventing rash reactions. It allows time to cool down and approach the situation more constructively, which is a respectful way to handle conflicts. Ignoring can also serve as a tool to avoid enabling negative behavior. In situations where someone acts disrespectfully or tries to provoke a reaction, choosing to ignore can be a powerful way to de-escalate conflict. It signals that disrespectful behavior will not be rewarded with attention or engagement. This approach respects the person's own boundaries and dignity while also encouraging healthier interactions. Ignoring in this case is a deliberate and respectful choice to uphold standards rather than tolerate harmful behavior. Furthermore, ignoring is sometimes a way to respect the independence of others. People have their own lives, priorities, and moments when they cannot or should not be the center of attention. Ignoring does not always mean rejection. Sometimes it simply means giving others the space to live their own experiences without pressure or intrusion. Respecting that space honors the autonomy and individuality of both parties, which is essential for healthy relationships. It's important to highlight that the impact of ignoring depends heavily on how it is perceived and communicated. Ignoring with hostile intent or to punish can indeed feel disrespectful and damaging, but ignoring as a conscious choice for self-care, boundary setting, or emotional processing is rooted in respect. The difference lies in transparency and mutual understanding. When both parties recognize the purpose behind the silence or distance, ignoring becomes a respectful tool rather than a weapon. Ignoring is also culturally and contextually nuanced. In some cultures, silence or not immediately responding is a sign of respect and thoughtfulness rather than neglect. Even in everyday interactions, taking a moment before responding rather than rushing to reply is a way to show respect for the conversation and the other person's perspective. Thus, ignoring is not a black and white action, but a complex social behavior whose meaning depends on intention and context. Ultimately, ignoring does not mean disrespect. When it is done with awareness and care, it can be a healthy form of communication that protects personal boundaries, fosters emotional healing, avoids unnecessary conflict, and respects autonomy. Understanding this helps us move beyond assumptions that equate ignoring with insult and instead see it as a nuanced behavior with potential positive purposes. Balance is one of the most fundamental principles, not only in nature, but in every aspect of human life, especially in relationships and personal well-being. Without balance, things tend to spiral out of control, leading to dissatisfaction, stress, and disconnection. The concept of balance means finding the right middle ground between extremes, whether it's between work and rest, giving and receiving, or closeness and independence in relationships. It's this equilibrium that creates harmony and sustainability. In relationships, balance is essential because it ensures that both partners feel valued, respected, and fulfilled. If one person is always giving and the other always taking, resentment will inevitably build. Similarly, if one partner demands constant attention while the other needs space, friction arises. Balance here means understanding and respecting each other's needs and boundaries and creating a dynamic where both people feel equally invested and cared for. It's about reciprocity. When one side leans too heavily in any direction, the relationship risks becoming unstable or one-sided. Balance also plays a critical role in maintaining personal identity within a relationship. While intimacy and togetherness are vital, so is independence. If partners lose themselves by merging too deeply, the relationship may suffocate or lose its vitality. On the other hand, too much independence can lead to emotional distance and detachment. Striking a balance between closeness and individuality allows each person to grow both as an individual and as part of a couple. This balance fosters mutual respect and creates space for genuine connection. Beyond relationships, balance is crucial in managing the demands of life. Many people struggle with balancing work, family, social life, and personal time. When these areas are out of sync, it leads to stress, burnout, and unhappiness. Prioritizing balance means recognizing that no one aspect should completely overshadow the others. For example, dedicating all your time to work might bring short-term success but can damage relationships and health. Conversely, neglecting responsibilities for leisure alone can create problems as well. Balance is about allocating time and energy wisely to sustain all parts of life. Moreover, balance is deeply connected to emotional health. Life is filled with highs and lows, joys and challenges. Experiencing emotions in a balanced way means neither suppressing nor being overwhelmed by them. It's about allowing feelings to come and go while maintaining a steady inner center. Emotional balance helps individuals respond to situations thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively. This steadiness strengthens relationships because it fosters understanding, patience, and empathy. In the context of attention and desire, balance is just as important. Giving too much attention too quickly can overwhelm or create dependency, while too little can lead to neglect or disinterest. The right balance keeps attraction alive and nurtures genuine connection. It allows space for mystery and challenge, which are important for sustaining desire, but also ensures warmth and presence, so that emotional bonds grow. Finding this balance requires awareness, communication, and sensitivity to the evolving needs of both partners. Balance is also a matter of timing. Sometimes the scales shift naturally. Periods of closeness may alternate with times of distance, busy phases with quieter ones. Being flexible and adaptable is part of maintaining balance. It means recognizing when to lean in and when to step back, when to give and when to receive. This fluidity helps relationships and personal well-being thrive through change, rather than break under pressure. On a broader level, balance is a universal principle evident in nature. The ecosystems that sustain life depend on delicate balances between species, climate, and resources. Humans, as part of this natural world, also reflect this need for balance in their social and emotional lives. Ignoring this principle often leads to imbalance, causing harm or dysfunction. Ultimately, balance is essential because it creates a foundation for lasting happiness, connection, and health. It allows for complexity and nuance rather than forcing simple, rigid solutions. Whether in relationships, work, or personal growth, striving for balance means honoring both sides of any equation, giving and receiving, closeness and space, effort and rest. It's a dynamic process that requires mindfulness and intentionality, but offers rich rewards in return. Space, whether physical, emotional, or mental, plays a vital role in encouraging self-reflection. In today's fast-paced and hyper-connected world, it is often difficult to find moments of quiet and solitude. Yet it is precisely in these moments of space that individuals gain clarity, insight, and a deeper understanding of themselves. Space provides the necessary environment to pause, step back, and observe one's thoughts, feelings, and actions without distraction or external influence. When we give ourselves space, we create an opportunity to disengage from the noise and demands of everyday life. This disengagement is essential because constant stimulation often leads to reactive behaviors rather than thoughtful responses. Without space, we may find ourselves swept up in emotional turmoil, misunderstandings, or stress, unable to process our experiences fully. Space acts as a buffer that slows down this rush, allowing us to see situations more objectively and with greater perspective. Self-reflection is a process of looking inward to evaluate one's beliefs, motivations, and emotions. It is difficult to engage in this process effectively without some form of space. When someone is overwhelmed by constant interaction or pressure, they may suppress their true feelings or avoid confronting uncomfortable truths. Space encourages honesty with oneself by providing a safe distance from external judgment or immediate reactions. It enables a person to face their inner world more clearly and honestly. In relationships, space is particularly important because it allows both individuals to reflect on their feelings and the dynamics between them. When someone feels ignored or given space, it might initially seem painful or confusing, but this distance can actually prompt important self-reflection. The person may start to consider what they truly want, how they feel about the other person, and whether the relationship aligns with their values and needs. This internal reflection is crucial for personal growth and for the health of the relationship itself. Space also encourages self-reflection by providing time for processing emotions. Emotions, especially intense ones like anger, sadness, or jealousy, can cloud judgment if acted upon impulsively. When we have space, we allow these emotions to settle and transform from chaotic impulses into insights. This process helps in understanding the root causes of our feelings, leading to greater emotional intelligence and better decision-making. Beyond emotional processing, space fosters creativity and problem solving. When the mind is not overwhelmed with constant external inputs, it can wander and explore new ideas and perspectives. This mental freedom encourages reflection on past experiences and consideration of future possibilities. In this way, space serves as fertile ground for personal development and innovation. Moreover, space is essential for maintaining a healthy sense of identity. When we are constantly immersed in other people's expectations, opinions, or demands, our own sense of self can become blurred. Taking space helps us reconnect with our core values, passions, and goals. It reminds us of who we are beyond our roles and relationships. This recentering through reflection is vital for living authentically and confidently. It's important to note that space does not mean isolation or abandonment. Healthy space is about temporary distance that fosters connection rather than permanent withdrawal that leads to disconnection. When used intentionally, space acts as a tool for strengthening bonds by ensuring that interactions are more mindful and meaningful. Both parties benefit from the clarity and understanding gained through self-reflection during this time apart. In practice, creating space can take many forms. Taking a walk alone, meditating, journaling, or simply sitting quietly without distractions. The key is to allow the mind to slow down and turn inward. This intentional pause invites self-reflection and helps uncover insights that are often hidden beneath the surface of everyday busyness. In conclusion, space is a powerful catalyst for self-reflection. It provides the necessary conditions for individuals to pause, process emotions, and gain clarity about themselves and their relationships. By embracing space, we allow for deeper understanding, personal growth, and healthier connections with others. In a world that often demands constant engagement, the gift of space is invaluable for nurturing the mind, heart, and soul. In human interactions, whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or professional environments, the foundation of any meaningful connection should be respect, not games. While it's easy to fall into patterns of manipulation, testing, or playing hard to get, these games often lead to confusion, mistrust, and frustration. Genuine respect, on the other hand, builds trust, fosters clear communication, and nurtures deeper bonds that stand the test of time. Understanding why respect matters more than games is essential for creating healthy, authentic relationships. Games in relationships usually arise from fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, or fear of losing control. People might withhold their true feelings, avoid direct communication, or act unpredictably to test the other person's interest or to gain power. These behaviors may create temporary excitement or a sense of challenge, but they rarely result in lasting satisfaction. Instead, they can cause misunderstanding and emotional distance because they prioritize winning or control over connection. Respect is fundamentally different because it values the other person's feelings, boundaries, and individuality. It means treating others with kindness, honesty, and fairness. When respect guides our interactions, we communicate openly and listen attentively. We show empathy and acknowledge the other person's worth without trying to manipulate or control them. Respect fosters an environment where both parties feel safe to be themselves, share their thoughts, and express their needs without fear of judgment or retaliation. In romantic relationships, respect is especially critical because love requires vulnerability and trust. When both partners operate from a place of respect, they build a foundation where honest conversations can happen, conflicts can be resolved constructively, and intimacy can grow naturally. In contrast, when games dominate, suspicion and insecurity take root. Instead of feeling secure and cherished, people may feel anxious and uncertain, constantly guessing at the other's intentions. This emotional instability undermines true connection. Respect also means valuing consistency and reliability. Games often involve mixed signals, hot and cold behavior, or sudden disappearances, which erode trust over time. When someone respects another, they strive to be dependable and considerate. They understand that actions speak louder than words, and consistent respect builds credibility. This reliability is reassuring because it shows that the person values the relationship and is willing to invest in its growth rather than just seeking momentary gratification. Importantly, respect is not passive. It requires active effort. It means choosing to behave thoughtfully, even when it's difficult, acknowledging mistakes and being willing to apologize and make amends. It's about honoring commitments and being mindful of how our actions impact others. Respect allows for healthy boundaries, where people can say no without fear of rejection or punishment. This kind of respect encourages autonomy and equality, essential elements for any balanced relationship. Respect is also a powerful form of empowerment. When we respect someone, we recognize their inherent dignity and right to make choices. This acknowledgement creates a reciprocal dynamic where both people feel valued and heard. It helps break cycles of control and manipulation often seen in game-playing behaviors. Instead of focusing on winning or testing, the focus shifts to building mutual understanding and support. In professional settings, respect plays a similar role. Relationships based on respect promote collaboration, productivity, and positive morale. When colleagues respect each other, they communicate more effectively, handle conflicts with professionalism, and create a supportive work environment. Games such as office politics or passive-aggressive behaviors disrupt this harmony and can lead to resentment and inefficiency. Ultimately, relationships that prioritize respect over games tend to be more fulfilling and enduring. Respect lays the groundwork for genuine connection because it honors the humanity in each person. It moves beyond superficial tactics to embrace honesty, kindness, and care. When respect is the guiding principle, people feel valued for who they truly are, not for how well they can play along with a game. Choosing respect means choosing authenticity over manipulation, clarity over confusion, and trust over suspicion. It requires courage to be open and vulnerable, but rewards us with deeper, more meaningful relationships. In a world where games may seem tempting, especially in the early stages of connection, holding on to respect ensures that relationships grow with integrity and heart